Everybody, Dave here, Hidden Freedom Investing. In today's video, we're going to go over the dividend update for the month of November. We're going to look at the dividends received. We're looking at the buys. We're going to look at the sells, the dividend increases, and some other stuff, some random stuff. So let's go ahead and get dug in. All right, you just saw Dividend Mountain there. There's a little bit of progress there. We're almost getting close to the 400K mark. And I didn't add any new capital to the portfolio for the month of November. So this is a November dividend portfolio update. Obviously these happen kind of, a few days after the month ends. Getting close to that 400K mark, and maybe we'll hit it by December or so, or maybe January if the market continues to be on a hot streak. Overview here, let's see, 2A, all of Dave's spreadsheets are now available. I've been basically putting that off for a year, kind of just resisting making those available, mainly just because I don't want to provide support for them, but I've had so many people ask about them and want them, so I made them available. I've already had a couple people take advantage of that. And I did make a discount code here for basically up until Christmas time, so 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, from now all the way to December 25th. So that's just a little bit of a Christmas gift if you want them. Pretty much all the spreadsheets that you've seen in my videos are available. To be or not to be continued here. Roughly 533,000 still left in real estate notes. And I think it was Matt Money, good old hot Matt there, Uncle Matt, Dr. Matt there, basically asked me recently what are my 2021 goals for my dividend portfolio, and I pretty much told him that, because there's $533,000 still left in real estate notes that I have no idea when those are going to get paid back. A couple could pay back next year, maybe none will pay back next year. Obviously I get interest income every month from that goes in the dividend portfolio, but a big chunk is not going to be added to the dividend portfolio unless something gets paid back. I'm not adding any new W-2 income to the dividend portfolio at all either. So let's go ahead and look at the dividend overview here before we get to the dividend increases, sells, buys, and adds. So let's go ahead and take a look at the overview. So this is the overview page here. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I created this new page here kind of as like a control panel, so to speak, for my dividend portfolio. I do have two dividend portfolios. One's a tax deferred and one's a taxable account. And from this page, I can see everything that's going on. I can see the health of the positions. I can see, the total amount unrealized gains here, which is $41,779, which is impressive because that's come up quite a bit here in November and the first week of December. So right now there's $388,000 in the dividend portfolio. Now there is $377,000 actually invested, with $10,865 in free cash. So I'm getting that deployed slowly but surely. Annual total dividend income right now is $12,615 for a monthly dividend income of over $1,000.51. Average weighted dividend yield 3.34 with an average yield on cost of 3.76. Average weighted 5-year dividend CAGR is 8.15, and I try to keep that about 3.5, and I still try to keep that above 8% as well. Average weighted beta is pretty low at 0.81. 0.75 to 0.80 is ideally where I want to try to be, but I'm still happy with 0.81. Number of positions, still 30 there. I did not add any new positions. I did not cut any positions for the month of November, so we're sitting still right at 30. Now obviously, now that you can look at this particular page, if you followed me for a while, you noticed that I did do an update here. I got rid of the logo here. Everybody was sick of looking at that, I'm sure. But I put that, so I put that little bit of space there to better use. So I created some little perfometer. So one's the dividend portfolio there, one is the actual amount in the two dividend portfolios. I got the net worth there, which I kind of added as a little snapshot for me. 1.576, that's a huge increase from just a couple of months ago. That market recovery made a big difference. If you're not invested, you need to get invested. All right, so dividend income per year is $12,615, and dividend income a month is $1,051. So right now, my goal for the net worth is about 1.7. The goal for the dividend portfolio is $1 million. Dividend income a year is $36,000. That's the goal. And then for the dividend income a month, the goal for that is $3,000. That's what it's set at. So right now there's $611,000 I want to still put into the portfolio, and a lot of that's going to come out of those notes and come into here. So right now we're 38% to the goal. I did put this little information down here, fire days left. So ideally I want to retire and divorce my job in early of 2022. So 482 days left, and I just see that ticking down. Hopefully by having that in the portfolio, maybe it'll go a little bit slower because it has been going by super fast. So we're looking at the dividend portfolio here, and these are all my positions, the 30 positions in here, all right? Now obviously, if you've been following me for a while, you see the Vanguard there, I've been building that up. So I got over 1,256 shares of VYM at this point. I'm up over 10% already. It's only been a couple of months I've started that position. Look at that, 10% up already, over $11,000. I do sell covered calls on this position, and right now I believe, let's see, I have over 11 contracts on right now, and they're already 1% from being in the money, but that is what it is. So I will roll those if I need to, because I don't want that $11,000 to be taxable, so I don't want to create a taxable event there, so we'll play that going forward. So these are all my positions. I'm not going to go through all of them. Obviously you can kind of pause the video if you want, and I did make a little bit of moves this particular month, but I didn't really sell anything, at least any full positions. I did sell out of a couple, a little bit of shares out of a couple of different positions just to bolster some other ones up as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the dividend increases for the month of November. I already looked earlier. I don't think there was any. And let's see, scrolling down here, yeah, there was no dividend increases, at least for my positions for the month of November. So for November, this is my Schwab account. I was just a little screenshot for November 1st through November 30th. So I did sell out of a little bit of Starbucks there, so just 10 shares, took $235 in profit, and also sold out a little bit of IBM, 15 shares there, and deployed that into some other stocks to bolster some other positions. I think I actually put that into Intel. I also sold out of the VTRS, which was a spin-off from Pfizer, so I sold out of all those 13 shares there, $17 in profit. And we'll talk about these covered calls here in a little bit. So we're looking at the buys here, and these are all the buys I did for the month of November. And like I said, those positions that I sold out of, or at least those 15 shares of Starbucks or of IBM, it went in to bolster some of these other stocks. Or like I said, Intel was down so far, and I decided to buy 34 more shares of Intel to bolster that back up, take advantage of it being way down. As I've said before, I keep adding to VYM. I want to get up to $700,000 so I can sell covered calls against it. So I added $14,800 to VYM. And Johnson & Johnson there added 19 shares to. The goal is to get that up to 100. I'm not too far away. Added to KMB. It just didn't deserve to be way down in the portfolio, so I added about 12 shares of KMB. I just talked about Intel. McDonald's I actually added some more shares of as well, just to get some of those core positions to be higher than, some of those other positions. It didn't really warrant being that high in the portfolio, so I wanted to bolster some of these other positions up. CVX, now I did a video on ExxonMobil. If you want to take a look at that up here, I did bolster ExxonMobil substantially in October, just before earnings, and I took advantage of that. So I figured I'd build up CVX here, so I added 12 shares to that, and I also added a little bit of shares to Altria as well. Starting to grow on me a little bit. I thought about cutting that stock, but I'm going to keep it for now. Added 3 shares of Pepsi, added 2 shares of Proctologist Gamble there, and then also added 1 share of IBM. And now why did I do that? Well, because I only had 1 share in my tax deferred account, so adding 1 more share and they're literally averaged down. So, you know, if I had 1 share and I was down 20%, adding another share, I'm only down 10%. So that's the reason why I added a couple of shares of IBM, 1 share of Proctology Gamble, and then, you know, a couple of shares of Pepsi there. So $24,407 invested for the month of November. I just hit $1,000 of average monthly income. Go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that bell notification. So we went ahead and looked at the dividend increases, which there was none. We looked at the sells. I didn't sell out of any full positions. I did sell a couple of shares of Starbucks and a couple of shares of IBM just to put in some other stocks that were down and harvest a little bit, kind of just jockey them in the positions a little bit. You know, just looking at the portfolio here, you know, McDonald's had been back here, you know, and let me see, a couple, you know, Pepsi was back down here. Johnson & Johnson was way back down here, and I just wanted to get Johnson & Johnson to be a little bit higher in the portfolio. There's 80 shares in this particular count, 106 shares total, but I want this to count to be up to 100, so I got to add about 20 more shares in that particular account. I still probably want to build up maybe Colgate-Palmolive and have that to be maybe just shy of maybe where Kimberly-Clark is. When Intel does recover, so I'm only down 4.5%. It's had an amazing week this week, by the way. I will probably end up selling out about 30 shares of Intel at some point just to get that back down here and you know, kind of take off some of those profits that I had there. So here's the allocation, and you know, try to keep these pretty close to the S&P 500 here. Let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I probably need to update that at the end of December. Consumer staples 19.3%, and consumer staples over here 7%. So I'm kind of high. I'm really high in consumer staples, and the reason why is this, you know, some great stocks in there, number one, but number two, they're super defensive as well. So utilities is kind of high, that's kind of defensive as well. So 10.9%. Utilities over here are 3%. So I'm literally almost double, or 3 times the amount. So financials, I only own JP Morgan at this time. I did, you know, earlier this year I did have Wells Fargo in there, and I got rid of that because they cut the dividend over 80%. I just wasn't having it. So I got rid of it, and I think JP Morgan is doing pretty well right now. So right now I'm up 19% in JP Morgan alone. So healthcare, 10.9%. That there's AbbVie, and there's also PFE and Johnson & Johnson in there. So we're a little bit lower than where we want to be on healthcare. 14% is what we have in the S&P 500 over here. We got 10.9. Let's see, materials kind of low. I actually found a good new material stock that I could add to the portfolio. Now APD actually was on a major decline after earnings. Now it's back up to 25% for me, but it did have a pretty substantial decline after earnings. But you know, being up 25%, I didn't want to add any more. But maybe I could add that new position in at some point if it gets super cheap. I can't remember the name of the stock. Maybe I'll talk about it. Maybe I'll do a video on that particular stock in general. Real estate, there's still Realty Income in there. That is the cream of the crop, Dividend Aristocrat REIT. Now I just heard recently that RioCan cut their dividend or something like that. So poor Kyle getting slammed over there. Let's see here, energy. I did bolster that up substantially in October. And obviously added, you know, to CVX particular in this month as well. So that's literally went from 2% to 5.7%. I think it was just the time to buy oil. Things are coming back. If you want to take a look at my ExxonMobil video, go ahead and take a look at that. Industrial, 7.8%. Cat had a humongous day today, so that helped. Consumer discretionary, 8%. So I like some of the consumer discretionary stocks, but I did get rid of a little bit of shares of S-Bucks and put it to work in some other declined stocks, and just kind of average down a little bit. Communications services, which is just AT&T and Verizon. It's a little bit lower than where it should be, but I'm kind of happy where those two stocks are. I did not want to add any more to AT&T because it's already up way, look at, you know, it's already way down in my portfolio at this point, or up I should say. So I did add a little bit to Verizon, build that up. I may want to add maybe a little bit more to Verizon just to get it up a little bit higher in the portfolio, but in general I'm pretty happy with those are at. So I own quite a bit of information technology. I do have Apple, I do have Microsoft, I do have IBM and Intel has basically sold off big time after earnings. I did a video on that if you want to take a look at that up here. So I do own 1,000 shares in another account, and that is up about $3,500 at this point. And if you look at that video, I was up over $7,000 and the earnings hit and it went down. And if you want to look at that whole saga, look at that video. Here are the dividends received for the month of November. So we got Verizon there, we received a dividend on. We got a dividend on a JP Morgan, AT&T, APD, not ADP, which I did own before. We got Apple, we got Realty Income, we got Proctology Gamble there, we got Colgate Palmolive, AbbVie, and we got Cat there. And we got Starbucks. So for a total of $690.91. That's 11 dividends received for the month of November. It's a pretty I wouldn't call it the biggest month, but it's not the smallest month either. All right, let's go ahead and run that dividend update script, which we should see the dividend-o-meter go up here, 2020 dividends. So let's go ahead and run that. All right, it looks like those have completed, and we're up to 5,030 dividends received. Look at that speedometer there, speedometer, dividendometer, whatever you want to call it there. It's right almost exactly in the center. So that script basically just runs and updates this dividends received chart here. So we got those 11 in dividends. So you got the AbbVie, you got the the T, Colgate, JP Morgan, Realty Income, APD, Proctology Gamble there, and a bunch of others. So it adds up to $690.91. Kind of looking at Realty Income here because that's a monthly payer. Look at that going up. Just in January, $3.41, and now here are in November all the way up to $33.76. So obviously back in January, this is when I launched this dividend portfolio. There's $50,000 in there total, and here's kind of the history. If you want to take a look at that playlist there, lifetime dividend portfolio, how to build a dividend portfolio from $50,000 up to $388,000 literally in 11 months, then go ahead and take a look at that lifetime portfolios playlist there. So that brings us to $5,030 for the year so far. Dividends by month there, November, pretty decent month, especially compared to last year. Last year, like I said in previous videos, it really wasn't a dividend paying year for me. I wasn't really focused on dividends and really started that dividend portfolio back in January. So here we are, $690. That's compared to September, which was a humongous month of $1,400. Last month in October was $348, and we'll look at December here with the going forward what December looks like as well. Here's the quarter by quarter here. Obviously there's still another month left in Q4, so right now we're up to 11. Let's see, what, 1,039. That was compared to last year's 334. So last quarter, let's see, 2,277. I already know that we're going to beat that because I think December going forward is going to be a pretty big month. And then dividends by year, and like I just said, last year was not really a dividend focused year, and this year we're up to 5,030. So for 2020, I think we're projected to make about a little over 7,000 in dividends. And here's the dividends by ticker. If you want to pause the video to take a look at that, you can. That's just the percentages there. So just to look at the dividend income by sector, this is just the percentage. Right now, consumer staples is probably one of the biggest sectors that gets paid out. Now, what you don't see in here is you don't see the VYM ETF in here. I haven't really figured out how I want to put that in here yet. I might break the VYM out into sectors, but it really doesn't matter because I'm trying to make the actual individual positions match what the S&P 500 is anyway, and that's pretty much kind of what the VYM is covering, and now it's not quite exact, so maybe what I'll do is I'll probably add to the spreadsheet or something a section in there where I can break out the individual sectors by percentage and then compare them or add them to these particular charts as well. So that brings us to the covered call options income. Now I did not go hog wild on covered calls this particular month. I've been focusing most of my time on naked puts, cash secured puts is what they call them, but naked puts and also naked calls, in addition to maybe strangles. I've been doing a lot of strangles lately as well. Now I'm not gonna cover that in this particular video. I'm only gonna do the covered calls because that's actually against the dividend portfolio. I do try to do update videos on the cash secured puts or naked puts and the naked calls / strangles as well. It's been a little while since I put one out, but it's on the agenda to do. Now I do quite a bit of those. Obviously there's a bunch of Novembers there. That's the cash secured puts account. And then you got the naked calls here, which I have a lot of naked calls on right now. QQQ's there, got some on the SPY, ARK, SNO. Been focusing a lot of time on those as well. I also did close out that Intel right here this particular week, so that was a $4,100 gain, even though I took a loss up here, 25 there and 17 there. So I'll just do an update video on that. I'm not going to do it in this video. So for covered calls, right now there's VYM on, there's Realty Income, JP Morgan, Pfizer, Apple, and Microsoft, and those particular ones are pretty common that I do all the time. Now the Pfizer I just added, shout out to Stock Ninja on that one. Stock Ninja pointed that one out to me today. It was pretty good income, so $24 there for a 20-day hold, so that's not too bad. I've been focusing most of my covered calls on VYM, 11 contracts. If you want to take a look at that video, take a look at it up here. It talks about how and why I selected VYM put that in my portfolio to do covered calls against it. 14 days left to expiration on that, and it's already 1% for being in the money. I did collect over $135 on that for those 11 particular contracts. Now 7.45% from being in the money. Probability of being in the money. Now that's a monthly options contract. You can't do weeklies on it. So right now, annualized, that's 1.73%, and that's pretty safe. I've been giving it about 5 or 6% a month to move, and it's been moving that. That's the problem. And that particular ETF really doesn't move but 7-8% on a year, but it's been doing that in a month, which is putting a little bit of stress on the actual particular position. Worst comes to worst, what I will do is just roll that out another month and kind of delay the profit on that if I need to, because I have $10,000 in capital gains that I don't want to get generated a taxable event for. So these are the options, covered call income here, just a couple apples, a bunch of Microsoft. I took 1 week off or 2 weeks off on the Apple just because of earnings. JP Morgan in there, and you got the VYM in there. And then for the tax deferred account, there was just that Realty Income in there, which I collect $15 on from 1 covered call. So that brings the total income for covered calls for the month of November of $215. That's down from $280 of last month. Like I said, I just don't focus a lot of time on those. I am trying to take the low-hanging fruit, the VYM, of course. So a lot of my time right now is spent on cash secured puts, naked puts, and naked calls and strangles. What an absolute amazing year for investing. Go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that bell notification. So that brings us to my Schwab accounts here, where we're going to actually look at the actual projected income for December here. Let's go ahead and look at 2020. And for 2020, it looks like we're getting $2,041 for the month of December. That's what we're projected to get. And right now we've already been paid out $105. And I think there was an Intel and an IBM possibly in there, if I remember correctly. I saw getting reinvested. But so yeah, for December it looks like going to be a pretty big month, $2,000, and that's compared to September, which is an equal quarter, $1,400. So that's an increase of over $600 from quarter to quarter. That's pretty good, in my opinion anyway, at least for me. See, the next 12 months, January looks like a pretty small month, 455. February, 580, and then it looks like we have another big one here in March of $2,211. So right now we have over $12,987 with an average monthly income of over $1,082, and that's just beyond my wildest dreams. I didn't expect to build this portfolio this year this fast. COVID kind of changed everything for me. And I mean, obviously you can see that here in my dividend portfolio, being up over $41,000, 12% just this year alone. That's pretty amazing. A lot of the investing I did, I added a lot of capital to this portfolio back in March, back when we were near the lows. And obviously you can see that here. Now, had you invested all that money into growth stocks, you'd probably be up a lot more than 12%, but I wanted to be defensive because you didn't know what was going to happen. And people are talking about double-dip recession. People are talking about down 50%. So I did still edge in pretty lightly. You can take a look at that playlist if you want and see, you know, how I built this portfolio up kind of slowly, defensively, and also try to take advantage of some really good paying stocks, getting rid of those stocks that were cutting dividends, which I think it was just, for me, it was Wells Fargo. I did own Disney as well, but it wasn't a dividend play for me, and I did sell that out because I made a pretty good profit on it. So all in all, that is my dividend portfolio for November. Now obviously there's one more month left in this particular year, so I'm looking forward to making that update in January. So if you have any questions on this particular video or anything in my dividend portfolio, go ahead and leave a comment below. You can shoot me an email or hit me up on my social media as well. With that, I hope everybody has a great Christmas, and go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next video. Thanks for watching.